Okay, so welcome everyone. Welcome to Ship Your Future Online's SFM Conversations with me, Rob Sewell. I've got a couple of fantastic guests here with me today.
No pressure.
Entrepreneurs and SFMers. It's Anita and Steve Richardson. Hello, guys.
Good morning, Rob.
Right, nice one, mate. I'll tell you what, it's nice and early this, isn't it? It's about 5:30 in the morning, isn't it?
It's not, it's 8:10. So yeah, I'm really excited to have Anita and Steve on here today for various reasons. A couple of guys that I met fairly recently at a couple of SFM events. So let's just dive straight in, and don't know who's going to go first. I bet it's Anita.
Yeah, let ladies go first.
I was actually going to leave Steve.
No, go on.
If you want to introduce yourself a little bit about your background to everyone who's watching.
Okie dokie.
Go on,
Am I going first?
Yeah, go on. Yeah.
Of course she is.
But only because this is recorded, so obviously I've got to let ladies go first. Go on, boss.
Right, so originally started in the corporate world in accountancy, and I'll keep this very, very short and tight. And then for my sins, met Steve, who was working for my mum and dad in the pub trade. He was actually a chef in the restaurant side of the pub, and that's how we met each other. And then my world turned upside down, basically. So Steve and I got together as a couple, and his ambition was to always own his own restaurant. And of course, I'd grown up in the pub trade. I'd been working behind the bar. I'd been waitressing for mum and dad. So I knew that side of it inside out. And Steve just said to me one day, you know, would you like to come on board and we'll open our own restaurant? And I was like, yeah, why not? I was young, carefree, and never had any fears or anything. And off we went. And we ended up opening a fantastic restaurant, which we ran for 15 years, didn't we?
Yeah.
And loved every minute of it until recession hit, smoking ban hit, big pub with a big chain opened up down the road, and our trade just tumbled overnight. And we were like, right, okay, we need to do something quick. And from that, we ended up going into properties, and we went into buying and selling properties, basically because, again, it was a passion that both of us had had, because we refurbed the building to turn into a restaurant, so we'd had plenty of experience. And we went into the housing market. And then again, things changed again. And eventually that's slowed as well. And then the next step, really, I went off and decided to bring the holistic side of things that I love and the spiritual side into a thing that I love to do with cats, because I'm a big cat fan. And I went down to London and trained as a cat groomer, as you do, completely random thing to do. And came back, and I've been running a cat grooming business for the last 3 years. So that's me in a snippet. Well, then your background. Yeah,
she's also forgot to say she worked in banking as well.
I was in banking, yeah, that was way back.
On Scottish Power and Manweb, so Nita's done a hell of a lot.
Yeah, that was all the corporate.
Yeah. I mean, I'll skip the restaurant bit because I've been a chef for 30 years, so obviously 15 years of that was with the restaurant, but my passions, even before the restaurant, was selling cars and selling watches. So I was kind of always doing that, even as a teenager. I was heavily into cars. I bought my first car at the age of 17 before I passed my driving test. And basically, you know, hell of a lot, hundreds and hundreds of cars later, I've turned one of my little passions into a part-time job, basically. So one thing led to another. The restaurant was a big passion as well, being a chef. But, you know, everything just falls at your feet sometimes. But what I've learned with starting up multiple businesses, especially with hobbies, is you've just got to go for it full on. You've got to attack it. But more importantly, if you enjoy it, and I think this comes round to the circle of with the SFM, everything just seems to fit with this circle, and it's never ending as well. So yeah, so as we say now, we're basically back into the property game again now, and mainly SFM full time. That's the way we'd like to develop it, Rob. So that's an overview. That's the nutshell there, mate.
So I guess the logical question from that is, so, you know, you've both been entrepreneurs, you know, for quite some time now, since Anita left, you know, that corporate background. Why have you looked into starting an online business? And how does that differ, do you think, from the traditional kind of brick and mortar business of, say, a restaurant or something like that?
Ooh, okay.
Good question. For me, it's just to learn a new skill, Rob, because, you know, everything with myself has been a bit more about creating my own brand from myself, if you like, you know, especially with the menu planning and stuff like that. It's all about bringing your own personality, your own wants, wishes, desires. And there's nowhere to hide when you've got your own restaurant with your own name outside the door. There's nowhere to go. So, but the one big thing I never learned over my lifetime with the businesses I've done is anything technical, anything to do with computers. I didn't even have a mobile phone because Nita was obviously the one at the front of the house with the restaurant. But for me, joining the SFM was just a new way of learning, keeping my brain going into my 50s, basically, because at the age of 44, that's when I retired from bricks and mortar business, as you said. So for me, I don't know what it's like for Nita, but it was just to learn a new skill.
To touch on that, to push on from that then, because that begs another question. I mean, you know, there's a lot of people who don't think that they've got the technical skills to start online.
Yeah, exactly. And I was one of those, Rob. Yeah. I was a massive, massive technophobe. So I've gone through with Mark Ford and all the mastermind calls. You know, for me to get my head around just 10% of it, you know, and I'm nowhere near there yet. It's a work in progress. But for me, that's where the beauty of this company lies, is in learning more skills and watching Nita with her journey and being maybe a support act for Nita. Who knows? But, you know, as ever with a boiler room, an engine room, that's what keeps the steamship going, doesn't it? So
yes,
it's the real thing.
You feel like you've had the support in that area of being able to start to learn new skills.
Yes, definitely, Rob. And do you know what? Even at my age now, I'm 54, I'll give my age away, I'm still wanting to embrace this company to learn more, because I think, why should the youngsters just have it all? Because they've had it all for far too long. So, but what I think I've got is the experience, and with Nita as well, we've operated multiple businesses over the decades, actually. We're nearly into our third decade now of being self-employed. And do you know what? I'm trying to struggle to find the word, but the longevity of being in these businesses, we know we're going to stick at this SFM.
Yeah, you've got the experience.
And because it's never going to end, I think that's the beauty. I think that's what we're looking forward to the most. And obviously we can touch on the community side of it, which is, for me, because being hobbled up in the kitchen for 30 years, I never spoke. Nobody ever saw me because I wasn't one of these types of chef. Well, you wouldn't think that now, would you? This is what the SFM does to you. It creates an absolute beast. So you can't shut me up now sometimes, but I'll let Nita.
You've been let out of the kitchen finally, Steve. What about you then, Anita? What's the lure of starting an online business?
Well, the reason...
Traditional businesses in the past.
Right. The reason I got started was I was in the cat grooming business and I got badly bitten and scratched. And I ended up with a virus which put me in bed paralysed for 3 months. So during those 3 months, to go from a kind of fit and healthy person working and taking your health for granted, lying in bed, couldn't move, thinking, what now? And all I had in my head at the time was, Steve's going to have to work his backside off now to bring extra money in because I can't earn. How are we going to pay bills? Of course, you've got all these stresses going through your head. And when you're lying there, there's nothing worse is that than even your own worst enemy. Everything was whirling through my head. And how are we going to... And I just started looking through YouTube. And I turned to YouTube, one, to start doing some meditation because I was not in the right place. And, of course, then I was going on to motivational videos. And I kept seeing these things popping up, and I was like, oh, skip that, getting on my nerves, you're stopping me listening to my stuff. And then eventually, Helena was our referring affiliate. And there was just something about Helena, her video. It was so simple, a nice countryside background, which, I mean, I loved the countryside myself and being outdoors. And I just thought, oh, I'll sit and listen. And I listened to Helena's whole clip from start to end, and I clicked on her video there and then, and I joined the SFM. Didn't tell Steve. I was like, yeah, this sounds good, I'm going for it. And it was all the whole story. Well, it's not a story, is it? It's proper life. But the whole thing about it was the fact you could work from a laptop anywhere in the world. And I thought, if that means I can work from a bed if it needs be, because I didn't know how things were going to pan out, at least I'll be earning some income. And that really appealed to me. And I thought the whole physical side of work, of course, as you're getting older, your aches, you know, your bones are aching, your back's aching, all the rest of it. We all get these ailments coming on to us as age progresses. And I just thought to myself, this sounds great. To have my laptop and to be able to work from that, there's no physical stuff to do. I thought that sounds wonderful. And that was the start of this, basically. So the difference between this and bricks and mortar business, I think I've literally just touched on there. As we're getting older, you know, the bodies start to tell you they can't quite cope anymore as these youngsters. You know, and when the thought of doing sort of the 12-hour, 14-hour shifts of standing in a restaurant, we physically couldn't do it now. It would kill us. So to be able to sit with a laptop and do a few hours in the morning on emails and contacting customers and that, I was like, that's my type of business. And that was the difference, you know. Plus, we didn't have all the overheads of the bricks and mortar business, all the pressures of earning your money just to pay all your bills up front first, you know, your council tax, your mortgage, everything, the brewery, everyone had to be paid up front before you made a penny. And it was just the constant pressure of finding the money to pay all that before you then made anything for yourself. And of course, all your staff costs and all the problems that come with staffing when they ring in sick last minute and all the extra pressures. So to have it just us and no other responsibilities, and either of us can do it, you know, if one's poorly, the other one can take over. It's just great.
Yes, I mean, I can relate to that in certain ways. So I mean, I'm slightly younger than you guys at 45.
You don't have to show off, Rob.
When we're kind of moving into our 40s and 50s, you know, things do start to change for us, don't they? And for me, it was, well, physically I became quite unwell, but it was more starting off as being mentally unwell from being completely burnt out from 20 years of working in corporate 12 hours a day. Just became, you know, I became very, very unhappy and disillusioned, suffering with real stress, anxiety, alcoholism. And, you know, I got to a point where, I mean, you were in bed for 3 months with this virus, Anita, but I was on my knees, you know, and needed to get help, you know, with my issues with drinking and my depression. And for me, it was, what can I do? What can I do to change my life? I can't go back down that path. I can't go and do the kind of work that I was always doing. I would just end up living the same kind of life. I needed a radical change. And I realized that you could do something which, you know, this laptop lifestyle for me means I can work at home. You know, lots of people travel around the world and things like that. That's not for me. I just want to be at home so that I can see my wife and my children and live a more balanced lifestyle. So, and understanding that you can scale that online business, you know, you can scale it up so that you can earn more than you can in any kind of corporate career or really any brick and mortar business as well. So kind of what appealed to me. I'm just wondering, so you mentioned there, Anita, that you found this first, and you didn't really tell Steve at first. Now,
how many times she's lied to me?
You're working together as a couple, you know, building an online business, and I'm surprised at how many people there are actually who are building online business together as couples, which I think is is fantastic. Just wondering if you could tell us a little bit more about that, how you started, how you introduced Steve to it, because I know some people have problems introducing things to their spouse or their partner, and what's it like working as a couple now? And you have to be nice, Steve.
Well,
I'm just going to be honest. So
no, I'll
absolutely. Please, let's all be honest.
Yeah. When I signed up originally, didn't tell Steve. And then, of course, you get your application fee paid. And I started off on the journey. And then I thought, yeah, I really like this. I want to go to the next level. And of course, there's different levels we can all go through to, depending on how much we want to invest in ourselves and how much we believe in ourselves. And as the journey progressed, I was like, I'm not going to tell Steve, because he just kept saying to me, it's a scam. It's an online business. You don't know who to trust. They're going to take your money and they're going to run. And you just, steer clear of it. I'm doing this to protect you. Don't be so shallow-minded and so blinkered. And I was like, no, I've got a totally different feeling about this company. Anyway, as the time progressed, I found out that there was a Momentum Day coming up in London. So this is March, was it last year? 2018. And I joined on New Year's Day in the January. And I thought, I'm going to book 2 tickets and I'm going to take Steve to that. And if he likes Momentum Day, we might be okay. We might have him on board. And we went down to London, and he was literally kicking and screaming on the way down to London. Every obstacle was getting thrown at me. And he was like, I'll give you an hour. I'll give you an hour in that room. And if it's a load of crap, I am walking out. And you welcome to it. Do what you want, or I'll see you at tea time or whenever it finishes. And we will not be getting involved any further. And I was like, okay, fair enough. Give me an hour. And we went into that room, and it was the longest day. I think it just went the quickest but longest day we've ever had, isn't it? Or the longest, quickest day, the other way around. It was like a 10-hour Momentum Day, and it went like that, didn't it?
That's because Jay Kubasek was there. So
Jay was on stage at the end.
it just went on forever.
But it was the very first one. I think it will always be the best one, because it got Steve fully on board. And also, I think the first time you go to a huge meetup like that and you meet so many like-minded people, you listen to those leaders inspiring you. Oh God, the energy levels soared, the belief soared. Being with normal people and seeing them on stage talking about their story, where they'd come from, what they were now doing in this online business. Excuse me.
Live TV.
Should have told her to turn off her phone.
I know. And so seeing all that before your eyes and then being able to chat with those people was just mind blowing, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And we went back to the hotel room after the event. Steve was like, okay, hats off, we're going to do this and we're going to do it properly, and I'm fully on board. And that was it.
Yeah.
So Steve, tell me, right, so go through, you're just about to walk through that door into Momentum Day, which is a one-day meeting that we have, about 4 times a year at different places in the world, where people from SFM meet the leaders and there's presentations and things like that. From that moment before you walk through the door where you're saying this is a scam, to what was that sort of light bulb moment for you, Steve, where you thought, no, this is something going on here?
I think it just robbed the genuine warmth off everyone and the speakers. I've never been to an event like that. And I think really with this whole thing with the SFM, Nita didn't really need me the first year. And I still will stick by that. I'll be honest with her on that one. She should have maybe let me do this organically myself. She might have actually got better results with me in the first year, to be honest with you. She didn't need the permission to bring me on board, because I had other things on the go at the time. I was very, very, very busy. Nita just added another stress at the time, Rob, to be honest with you. I will be very honest now, that I didn't need. And I think that was my resentment at the start, especially with Nita, because Nita's never lied to me before to get me into anything. So the fact that she had to think she had to lie to me at the start, was unbelievable. But getting back to the thing of, okay, I went under duress. I went with an arm behind my back, if you like. So super skeptical, thinking I've just got better things to be doing with my day, which I did in actual fact. But seeing one of the speakers, and I think it was Brian Parsley, actually. I think he was towards the end. And I thought, you know what? He's got me here now. He's really got me. So I thought, right, we've just got to go full bifters into this, because we don't do anything by halves. As you know, if you know us quite well, I think now, Rob. So we just went at it, what I call full metal jacket. And unfortunately for Nita then, because she's got me on board, then it goes mental. So we just chucked the kitchen sink at it. So basically, I still, at that time, was a little bit sceptical, but I came back thinking, right, we went to Platinum directly after. I think it was 2 weeks after, wasn't it? Because they booked another Platinum event after that event. They'd just done a Platinum event, because we'd booked by then when we went back.
Which is all you pinpoint your purpose. What your purpose is in life.
And I think, Rob, to be honest with you, it wasn't the Momentum Day that turned me fully round. It was basically the Platinum incubator. As you know, you've done that yourself. And that just transformed the whole thing with confidence. Yeah. It became then not about the money for me then, because that wasn't the issue at the start. It then became about development, self-development. And I turned the clock back with the years to think, well, I can still do different things, you know. Yeah. I can still live up with the youngsters and, you know, get in with the jet set and all that sort of stuff. There's a lot of the leaders when they started the companies, you know, they're in their 20s when they started. So I'm thinking, am I going to fit into this, Rob? But after the Platinum Incubator with Alex and the guys, JJ, I thought, right, that's it. They've got me now. Now they've got me. Yeah. And then it just developed from there. So, we'll leave it there, mate.
I mean, here's one of the things, though, because it's not about trying to be like someone else, is it? When you're talking about fitting in. You know, building yourself up as a personal brand, which is what you do on this Platinum Brand Incubator process, one of the products within SFM. It's about discovering who you are. Yeah. You know, your light shine out. You know your unique properties. That's what it's all about. You know, it's not about being the same as someone else. It's very, very easy, isn't it, to try and copy other people.
Oh yeah.
And people who have got good results as well. You try to copy them, but you are not that person. Just because they get certain results in their business doesn't mean that you can copy them. You know, you're going to get good results in an online business by just being yourself. You know, if you're gonna on YouTube or Facebook or whatever, you just want to be yourself, don't you? Yeah. That's what it's all about. It's being authentically yourself. That's going to get you the results. That's what I've found, anyway. Certainly.
Yeah, I think people can tell past you, can't they, if you're being authentic or not? And I think that's a big one with us. I mean, we sent an email out to our email list, our broadcast list. And I think it was titled, I Want to Be Really Authentic With You. And it was a plain and simple little bit of text and a video with the two of us just talking, opening up and saying, just come and speak to us, you know, ask us anything. We will answer any question you threw at us. And you know what? That's got us the most people engaged with us. Just from that line, you know, that heading, we want to be really authentic with you. And that's what people are looking for, isn't it? They want someone they can trust and someone they can follow.
Well, it's like this Chester meetup that's been organised, to digress a bit. You know, there's nowhere to hide with things like that, because we feel under pressure already, because we've got a few of our members will be going there as well. And they're travelling long distances, like I've said about the taxi driver from London. And I think, oh my God, now we've got to produce. But we're just going to go organic. We're just going to be honest. Yeah. And, you know, if we can't answer everyone's questions, we'll just deflect them to yourself, Rob, or someone else.
That's it. But all you want is someone who you can look up to and someone who you're absolutely right. You've got it bang on.
Yeah. And I think when you're only a few steps ahead of them, you know, people can relate, because you're within reaching distance of where they're at when they're starting off, and they think they can get to where you are. Whereas If you've got somebody who's been doing it for years and they're living that full lifestyle right now and they're jet setting around the world, and it looks a hell of a long way away.
Not attainable.
To where you are when you first start. And if you're still in your corporate job, and you look at them and you think, can I really get to those heights, don't you? Whereas someone who's just open, who's been in the company like us just over a year, and we're still learning, they think, oh, well, they're doing it. They've been in it for this length of time. We should be able to get to their level. And, it comes across, sometimes we have to be right open and go, I haven't got a clue.
Well, I'd like to
I'll find out,
with people, if they think I can do it, this bungling idiot that doesn't know anything about the technicals, if he can do it, then that would be a compliment to me. It wouldn't be a distraction to say, well, he's an idiot. He's just a chef, or he's just this. I think, well, that would be the greatest compliment if I could just persuade one person to join all in.
Yeah.
That's almost like your life's work's done then, isn't it? Because it might transfer their life where they might be struggling themselves, like you were saying about your story, Rob. If we can help people like that along the way, and that's a byproduct of it.
Yeah.
You're not necessarily going out to sell yourself to help everybody that's depressed. You can't do that, but organically that will come anyway. I think people will resonate with you, the honesty and the truth, the compassion that you have anyway. And that's what I picked up, getting back to your Momentum Day question, was the honesty in the room. It was...
the love.
Yeah, it was overwhelming, to be honest, the Momentum Day. But,
Right, guys. So everything that you keep saying keeps leading up to the question that I want to ask next, which is... Let me pre-frame this one first. So it's going to be about sort of transformation. And, you mentioned before, Steve, that and pretty much for everyone who is looking to start an online business, right, how can I make some money? How can I make more money? How can I get a scalable business? And then you start to look into this and you start to get involved with the community, and, you start to go into some of these events like the Brand Incubator, things like that. And then you realize, wait on a minute, this is a little bit more about more than just making money.
Yeah.
I'm growing exponentially here. I'm learning real truths about myself, how to be honest, how to be authentic. It's actually quite difficult, isn't it?
It is really difficult, Rob.
And for me, coming into this, yes, I wanted a completely different way of working so that I did, and making money, so I didn't have to go back to that old life. But I was on a real... When I started this, I was sort of 9 months into recovery from addiction, and I was into real personal and spiritual growth. And then when I came into this community, I was able to flourish in that and really start to change. And the biggest transformation for me has been really understanding that I can make a living out of helping people, out of serving people. Not only now in helping people to learn an online business with the SFM, which I do full time as well, as you know, but also now in my community where I'm helping people in drug and alcohol addiction and helping to build a charity with a friend of mine. So it's that realization that I can actually just serve people and then receive back from that as well. That's been a huge transformation in my life, because before, all I've ever done is just take. What can I get out of this? What next promotion can I get to get a little bit more money and more responsibility to feed my ego? It's all about me. It's all about take. And there's not enough, if any, giving back, really.
Yeah. And
now that's just flipped completely around. And I feel so free from that and really blessed. So I'm just wondering what transformations you feel like you've gone through this process.
Go on, you've had the biggest.
Yeah, I think for me it's probably take too long, Rob, to explain it. It's the relationship breakdowns that were happening about 12 years before obviously the SFM was even on the radar. So to be able to forgive people, one in particular was my mother. I found that something I didn't think I would actually be able to do. You know, I don't want to bring this interview down now because it's something that's still actually ongoing, to be honest. It's reared its ugly head again just recently. So, but to be able to do that, to be in a position of forgiveness where you can say, I'm just going to have to let this go because it's affecting me. And I sort of buried my head with it. And I think the SFM, I don't just think it, they've definitely helped. Yeah. And that's one thing I'd like to actually eventually, once I know I'm sorted myself properly, is pay that back. A bit like what you're doing yourself, Rob, you're giving that back now. You've found yourself, and it's absolutely brilliant. I mean, we were at the 10 for 10 in Ascot, so we got to get to know you very well. And this is the one thing I'd like to, I haven't finished this journey yet with my mother. It's going to be something that's still ongoing. But I know with the SFM's help, I know I'm getting there. And that bit, to answer your question a bit better, is this is going to be something that might not actually, I've got to admit it, might not actually get resolved. But at least I know I'll be able to accept it. Whereas before, when myself, I was suicidal with this issue 12 years ago, I was on the verge of many times committing suicide. Again, not wanting to bring this interview down and bring the flow down, but this is the transformational thing, Rob, and I've not touched on it a lot with SFM members. You're one of the first I've come out on an interview with to speak about this. It's something I've really buried even within the SFM. I've done it on private calls. I know this is being recorded, and so this is one of my biggest fears, and this is the transformation. Is my biggest fears is I'm able to speak about my problems that I've had in the past, like yourself, and transform. So that, I suppose I've answered your question, hopefully, Rob, that the transformation...
Brilliant. I think one of the great things is that, and I mean, I've gone through something with my mother as well, a transformation in that I've had a quite difficult relationship with her since I was 14. Some coaching that I've gone through from some people within the SFM, I've actually healed that relationship in a 30-minute conversation.
Well, yeah.
And my relationship is completely transformed. And it's these kind of transformations. No, we're not even talking about digital marketing here and making an online business, but to be able to get rid of that, to clear that, speed me up so that I can do work and I can progress in life and I can take on an online business.
Yeah,
they're priceless, those sort of things.
Yeah, it's like a clearing process.
Online business is easy. Well, it's not easy, but it's, you know, all the tools are there for you to be able to do it if you put in the work. It's mental blockages and baggage that we carry around with us. If we get rid of that and work with that, then it frees us up to do whatever we want.
Yeah, exactly, Rob. Well said, mate, because one goes with the other, doesn't it, as we all know. You can't have baggage in your life because it will transcend into your business anyway. We've known that with the restaurant. But we were carrying a dead weight on our back for a number of years before we sold it. And eventually it will catch up with you, especially, you know, the older people, if they've had too much baggage. And that's another thing I want to touch on as well. You were mentioning in a previous conversation about the fact you've worked yourself into the ground. And if you carried on, Rob, it was going to be the end. Well, do you know what? That's exactly what happened to my father. He carried on and he went that next stage again, and he died at the age of 55, absolutely broken-hearted because he just worked himself into the ground. And I think with this SFM, this is what's exactly hit me at the right time. And it might be why Anita sort of forced me to join the SFM, because she could see the benefits, the non-financial side of things more than the financial. So, you know, Nita was all about chasing the money and it's going to be a great career. You know, we can build our own care home, you know, eventually. But the thing that it's helped with my father's side of things is absolutely massive now, because next year I'm 55. The year that my father, you know, he passed away 30 years ago now, this year in May. And I know now that I'm just on the resurrection now because of this company as well. It's helping massive. I'm having a second wind. And I think that's what we can help with our members, Rob, is this, it's never too late, is it? You know, so.
Absolutely.
It's been brilliant. The transformation has been amazing. And I know it's still ongoing. And I'm just looking forward to where it's taking us, you know, all of us basically.
Yeah. And what about you, Anita? What transformations have you been through?
Oh my word, where do I start?
We've got your father.
Well, the biggest one for me has been watching Steve. Because we've worked together for donkey's years. So we've always had the strength of working together. Although in the restaurant trade, I was at the front of house dealing with customers, and I would come and have to deal with a very irate chef in the background. Very hot-headed.
We're meant to be, aren't we?
Typical chef. So I was a good negotiator. But so going on from that, really, because Steve was always in the kitchen, he's very good with his staff, he's very good at barking orders, everything was done to a T, because food was hot, it had to go straight away. But if customers asked to speak to the chef, he wouldn't come out. He would send the second chef out, because he'd say, I'm too busy, second chef, off you go.
Well, I have no ego. So.
He did not want to come out, and the customers, you know, all they wanted to say was thank you for a lovely meal and to speak to the head chef, and he would not step foot outside of the kitchen. So in the end, I used to take the customers into the kitchen, and he hated it. He used to really absolutely have a go at me at the end of the night, but it was the only way, because the customers would be, oh, we'd love to see your fella, you never get to meet him. And as he said, it was his name above the door and everything. So moving on with the SFM, the change witnessing Steve has been amazing. And it was at Platinum where we sat in the room, and it was the first time he'd been asked to speak publicly, if you like, in front of 30 people. And I thought, he's going to bolt out of that door. And he stood up, and I thought, oh, bless him. He was shaking from head to toe. And he got his story out, and I was so proud. And I thought, because he didn't even do a wedding speech. He couldn't speak at his own wedding. And I thought, here we go. Here's the transformation starting for Steve, was at the Platinum. And then that's given me strength as well, because the more he's blossomed, the more you've come on board, haven't you? The more you've accepted everything that's going on. And I just keep saying, just let go of the control. And of course, this is part of my transformation, because I've gone very much into the whole, as being in business people, you like everything A, B, C, backup plan, backup plan, backup plan, in case, in case, in case. We're now completely, and it's with all the mindset issues, with the whole support team of the SFM, you let go of all that, and you just go with the flow, and things always happen, things always fall at your feet. You don't have to be planned to the nth degree ahead, because it never falls that way anyway. So for me, it's been letting go of the control. I've been very much a control freak. And I think being with the figures of businesses and the accounts, and I've always been, oh, you know, finances are getting tight, we need to do something, let's do that. So the big transformation for me has been letting go. And quite often Steve says to me, are you not worried about it? And I go, no. And we changed the whole topic of conversation, and you learn a lot of this coming through the SFM, that you have a little voice, don't we? All have that little voice in our head, chatters away, and quite often, if you let that thought go and go and go, the momentum takes over, and then you end up in a bit of a bad place, and you think the worst, and you're just at your wit's end of what's going on up here. And when you learn to stop that little chatter and turn the whole view around to something more positive, change the conversation, focus on something else, your energies go elsewhere, that's forgotten about. Life becomes a much happier place, because you don't have that constant nagging going on. And for me, that's been my transformation. I've got quite heavily involved in meditation, which I never thought I would in a million years. And I love it. As soon as I wake up, I meditate for half an hour. When I go to bed, I meditate for half an hour. And it just gets me in the right place every day, every night when going to bed. And I just love it. And my challenge is I am trying to get Steve to do the same. You've done a few. He's done a few, but he's like, nah, it's a little bit a step too far for me.
No.
You'll get there, Steve. I can imagine it must be difficult with your sort of mental mind chatter. Trying to get rid of that, that could be quite difficult.
I think that's something that is a work in progress. But I'm not saying I'm not going to do it, Rob. I'm not, you know, it's going to come. I know it's going to, and I know damn well it's going to help me, but it's just a rebel in me still.
Yeah.
It's
We
still,
lie
you know,
in bed, and I've got my headphones on, and I'll go, just listen to this stink. Headphone in the ear.
There's only so much, Rob, that Nita can push me into, and she's not going to do it all, you know. I've got to hold back a little bit to keep me.
I would trust in Anita, to be honest with you, because
yeah.
But so what's interesting is that we've all just shared 3 transformations, one each, and none of them is about well, we've made this amount of money, or we've grown our business this much, or we've enabled ourselves to produce this in our business. It's not, the transformations are nothing about the business. It's about it's an internal thing.
Exactly.
That enabling us to grow our business.
Yeah.
That this is what it's all about, and I think this is what people don't understand when they're perhaps looking at starting out online. They think, well, what do I need to do this? How do you do it? How do I build a website? How do I do this? How do I do that? Well, the how is, it's a process that you can learn with the SFM, but unless you have these internal transformations and mind shifts, you're not going to actually do that work. But that's what SFM gives you. It enables you to just get out of your own crap, this absolute rubbish that you'll tell yourself, and just get on with things.
Yeah.
And it's hard, Rob, isn't it, in a half-hour conversation with people, like say you leads, you want to get to an app, it's very hard to convey what we've just done in this now, which is an overview. But imagine just a half-hour conversation, and they're asking you questions. Well, is it MLM? And you think, I don't even want to be talking about that.
Yeah.
You've got to talk about that. It's their fears, their worries. But this transformation thing, you can't convey that in just a half-hour slot when all they're talking about is the money. And you're spot on. We've not even touched on it, not in this interview. And yet, with our members, it seems to be the only thing that people want to talk about. I
think it's a fear. People want a guarantee that it's going to work for them, isn't it?
Yeah.
Basically.
But I've got to drag myself back to how I joined, or how Anita, the boss, forced me to join. So if I strip things back, then I can take it from there. That know, these conversations, and the one you've just had there about, I've lost myself now. Your brain's gone now.
The mindset and stuff.
Yeah, the mindset. It's you can't get it in these little snippets of conversation. That's the frustration for me, because I know what's inside my head. But it's getting it out there to the people, and we're not even on a Zoom call with our leads. It's a phone call. A little bit of a snippet. They put the phone down. You can feel that they're not very satisfied with some of the answers, because it's just about the money.
Yeah.
And I think once we get over that, and maybe I can be a bit more eloquent with saying, right, I've got this nailed down now, but it can't be formulated. Like you were saying before, Rob, touching on the copying principle that's going on. If you're genuine, well, you've got to be genuine from the start, because people will find you out. And that's the thing we're learning every day with this SFM. We're getting back to lots of members every day, and even meeting up with them now. And we're putting ourselves out there because we've got more time to spend on this SFM. And the cross-section of people we're meeting, it's unbelievable.
Yeah. There's a lot of unhappy people out there.
It's so challenging. It's unreal. But I think the challenges are coming thick and fast now. And I think that's the beauty. It's keeping us on our toes. I know it is with me,
Yeah.
Right, so if we'll close this up now. What piece of advice would you give someone who is watching this, and they're they've watched videos from Stuart and Jay, and they've been looking into the SFM, not quite sure if it's for them. Is it a scam? All these fears, all these skepticisms going around in their head. What's the What's the one thing that you would say?
I think the quick thing for me, Rob, would be to say, trust yourself that you've got something to sell, which is yourself. Because if you know, why have they come to us in the first place? So, you know, trust yourself and just go with it and go all in. Because if you don't go all in, you're not going to get the benefits of everything. And take your time, because it is a journey. You're only starting off on the first step. You can't have everything. You can't have what I call the moon on a stick principle right from the start. You've got to just go for it. So that's my biggest thing, and trust yourself as well.
Good one.
Say, boss.
Mine. Oh, one thing.
I think Nita thought I was going to waffle on there.
I did. I did.
Well, you usually do, Steve.
I'm trying to think of the one thing. I'll just go with well, the trust with you. But that gut feeling, that's it. If I take myself back to when I was coming in, I'd seen so many of these videos and never paid much attention. And then the one I did listen to, I went with my gut feeling. And if your gut feeling is telling you to take this chance and go for it, go for it. Because you're being led that way for a reason. And if you're watching these videos, there's a reason you're watching them. You're obviously unfulfilled in your life with what you're doing at the current moment. And just take that chance. Believe in yourself that you can do it. And, you know, if you believe, the sky is the limit.
What about you, Rob?
Absolutely. I really like what Anita's just said about that gut feeling. For me, do you know, I am quite different to other people in many ways, but
No.
I mean, maybe it's because I got to such a certain point in my life, but I didn't have any skepticisms about this at all. I didn't even look in. I didn't take my time looking at the company or anything like that. I just knew, and after 3 days, I was on a call with one of the leaders, JJ, and he shared his story about why he started a business online. And, you know, he talked about his son and missing his son, and his son not even recognizing him at the age of 2 years old because he worked away so much. He worked so many long hours. And he cried and really, you know, really showed true authenticity. I just thought, here's a kind of guy that I want to lead me.
Yeah.
You know, and all of the people in SFM are like that. All the leaders and everyone who comes through starts to learn about how to be more authentically yourself, to a point where we're now leading people and helping people.
Exactly. Yeah. It's amazing how it goes, isn't it?
And there was just a gut feeling for me, like, I'm in the right place here.
Yeah.
I'm going with this, and I've never looked back.
Yeah.
A year later, I'm doing well.
Yeah. Nice one, mate.
I don't work anymore.
Yeah.
Not work.
It doesn't feel like work, does it, Rob? No. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a beautiful transformation. So yeah, that gut feeling for me is just, if it feels right, just go for it.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm a great believer in that. And look where we've ended up. Yeah.
Hey, voila.
All right, guys. Thanks very much. It's
nice one, Rob.
Talk to you. I look forward to seeing you guys on Sunday, right, at the meetup.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, super duper.
And we'll have our leaders board behind us so we can have photographs taken.
You'll have to make one now.
Yeah, I'll have to do one now.
All right. Cheers, guys.
All right. Cheers, Rob.
Bye.
Bye.